Have you ever heard of a plan so audacious, so perfectly crafted that it just feels like it has to be fiction? A plan not just to steal money, but to print it from the source. A plan that would grab the entire world's attention. Well, buckle up, because we're diving into the story of the greatest heist of the century. And this quote, it's really the heart of the whole story. It's all about that one single moment where you cross a line and you suddenly get that there is no going back. The only way forward is to burn it all down behind you. You see, for this crew, it was never really just about the money. It was about hitting that point of no return.
Right, because this is not your typical crime story. Oh no. This is the story of how a ragtag group of outcasts, hiding behind red jumpsuits and dolly masks, completely by accident kicked off a global movement. Every grand plan has an architect, right? Well, this one had a ghost. A man who pretty much didn't exist, pulling every string from the shadows with the precision of a chess grandmaster. A man known only as the Professor. So let's meet him. The Professor. He's the brains, the absolute heart and soul of this whole thing. He spent decades polishing his father's plan, and he was driven by one unbreakable rule: a clean heist, absolutely no bloodshed. And to pull it off, he found people who had nothing left to lose, and then he gave them something worth fighting for. See, to make this plan work, he needed a very specific kind of team. The rules were simple: no names, no personal questions, and absolutely no relationships. He gave them code names: Tokyo, Berlin, Nairobi, to strip away who they were before and forge them into a single, unstoppable unit. And what a team it was! A collection of true specialists, each one a volatile ingredient in a highly explosive recipe. You've got Tokyo, the walking time bomb; Berlin, the charismatic but terrifying leader on the inside; Nairobi, the heart; Rio, the hacker. They were, for sure, an unlikely family, all brought together for one single purpose. Okay, so the team's in place, the plan is perfect, and the target? It wasn't just some bank. No, that's thinking too small. Why steal money when you can literally make your own? Their target was the source itself, the Royal Mint of Spain. And the plan? Wow, it was a thing of beauty. Step 1, get inside. Step 2, use hostages as a shield to keep the police guessing. Step 3, fire up the presses and print billions in cash that no one can trace. And step 4, just vanish. It was absolutely perfect. Or so they thought. See, the Professor had planned for everything. Every police move, every security camera, every possible glitch. But there was one variable he could never, ever control: the messy, unpredictable, beautiful chaos of the human heart. And just like that, the perfect plan started to come apart at the seams. Inside the Mint, tensions were boiling over. Love affairs were starting, egos were clashing, betrayals were threatening to tear the whole team apart, all while the police were closing in, refusing to play by the Professor's carefully crafted rules. And yet, somehow, through sheer force of will, through unbelievable sacrifice, and a few moments of pure genius, they actually did it. They walked right out of the Royal Mint with nearly €1 billion, leaving the entire country just stunned. The Professor had won. Checkmate. So they did what anyone would do. They vanished, scattered across the globe to live out their wildest dreams in paradise. But as they'd soon find out, victory is not the same thing as freedom. The game was far from over. A system that big, the system they just humiliated, it doesn't forget, and it doesn't forgive. One tiny mistake, a single captured phone call, and one of their own, Rio, was taken. Just like that, paradise became a prison, and their peace was completely shattered. So they had no choice. They got the band back together. But this time was different. The motivation wasn't money. It was about rescue. This wasn't just a heist. It was a full-blown declaration of war against the state itself, all to get one of their family members back. Their new target was somehow even crazier: the completely impenetrable Bank of Spain. And this time, they weren't printing cash. They were going for the country's entire national gold reserve, an act designed to bring the system to its knees. I mean, just look at the difference. The first heist was a robbery. This was a war. The first was about an escape.
This was about a rescue. The first was a plan. The second was going to be a sacrifice.
And things went south fast. The violence escalated to a level they never could have imagined. Nairobi, the soul of the group, was targeted. The professor, their genius safety net, was caught. And finally, the government did the one thing no one thought they would. They sent in the army.
All of the professor's careful rules, no bloodshed, always stay one step ahead, they were thrown right out the window. This wasn't a chess match anymore. This was a brutal, bloody, desperate fight for survival, trapped inside a fortress with the entire military knocking at the door.
But then, something incredible started to happen outside the bank. The public, watching this all unfold, didn't just see a bunch of criminals. They saw something else entirely. They saw David taking on Goliath.
That dolly mask and red jumpsuit, it went from a simple disguise to a worldwide symbol of rebellion. People started wearing them in the streets, cheering for the crew, protesting against a system they felt had failed them. The heist had, totally unintentionally, sparked a real revolution.
Which kind of brings us all the way back to the beginning, doesn't it? Because for all the talk about money and plans and resistance, this story was always driven by something way more powerful and unpredictable. Love. Love for family, for a partner. It was the crew's greatest strength and, as the professor himself said, their most devastating weakness.
And that's really the question this whole incredible story leaves us with, right? When you're faced with an impossible choice, do you protect the perfect, flawless logic of the plan? Or do you risk everything for that chaotic, beautiful, and incredibly dangerous pull of the human heart? What would you do?